Hi everyone, it's Jen from Mindseye, and we're going to go ahead and do the weekly live on Saturday. So basically all you need to know is what you hear and what you see is what you got. And that is what the week is starting out with next week from what we can see. But really there's really nothing to be doing or like anything that we should be doing. To the point where you say you can't get it done. And then you can't be, and then you can't say, and then you can't do anything with like all forms of meaning and spelling of Lee. And then you go, what is actually going on? But in reality, when you see it and you actually go to the point of like ghost mode, it's like kind of like this whole thing of where you can't even see it through and to. All right. So here is the gold tarot. There's an end of a difficulty that's coming. And when I see it, it is a little bit deceitful with this Eight of Swords in reverse. But when I see it, there is this separation that must come in. If you're just joining us, just go ahead and leave a message or a question and we'll get right to it. But when I'm looking at it as the way that next week starts, it really comes in as this whole point of like no emotions, nasty emotions, no offers, but everything is fine. Everything is well secure, despite what is being said out in the public right now. It's more secure than what you think. It really was highly dictated out upon a look, upon seeing and hearing, and actually reviewing through. There was something about like EBT. There's rumors, at least here in Connecticut, that they were going to cancel it. It's really harsh and heinous to actually just put it right out there. But really, it's happened before, like sudden, like disrupt in our system where we have nothing. So it really is like no surprise that somebody would go to the store and buy a lot of food all of a sudden. So when I see it, there is like when you look at this, there's coins on the table. It seems to be a repetitive theme. There's got to be something more. There's got to be. It can't be just at face value in what's being seen by the naked eye. There is something happening. It was well planned out. I don't see an arrest. I don't see military movement, but it is a type of proper like force that comes in to help us move on from something else other than mundane. So it does seem a little bit counterintuitive. That's what it's saying. When you see this, it is not always the best of a female energy. And the energy of this is like, it has to do with like a sort of heartbreak. Can't explain it. But let's shuffle this again. Here we go. What else do we need to know out of the stack for next week? IRS. All right. Something comes in really strong. Really, really strong. When you see this, it is a turn of luck, of fate. It's been giving everyone a little bit more like anxiety to where it's like isolated issues. It seems trickery, which is the magician, and it had this like point of like illusion. When I see this, it is like an ending where it is softer. And when I see this, it was well manifested. Well manifested. When I see this, I'm like, I feel like that's actually like something well manifested. We'll look into the mineral deal again. But when I look at this and I say the Hanged Man, it'll cause a pause. Recklessness. When you see this and you see the devil, it had some sort of like I hear an inhibition, but then I also hear like to complete a task out. Let's look at it. One more. Well, IRS, money, loss, money, mineral deal. What do we need to know? where people actually can't sit well. UTIs, like you were thinking of something like Santeria. There is like a degree of Santeria, nasty Santeria at times, but really it's so point blank simple. It's like what we're hydrating with. All right. How is it presented in the media? As unrest, happy, not the beginning we wanted, like a flame put out, and all going on it and toward it. Again, like it offers a relief to something or someone when it happens. And then they're secure. And when I see this, I say, actual money is reticence to retribution, which goes up to like state attorney general to U.S. district attorneys. When I see this and I say the 501s in reverse, there's no struggle about it. But when I see the 4 cups, there really is like stone to aggregate. It has something to do with actual like paper, contracts, landscaping, agriculture. So let's look at the United States Department of Agriculture. What do we need to know? Right to the poker cards. All right, 3 of hearts to 7 of clubs. So that makes a 10. That makes it very transparent and see-through and asymptomatic. But then you go to the grocery store, and why does all the refrigerators smell sour? And then when you look at it, it is in plain sight, and it's actual like plain. And then you see it is like a 1/2 carat stone. And when you see this, you go, the Jack of Spades is a experiment. When you see this, and to the point of the 3 of clubs, experiment to an experiment is derogatory in the media. So when I look at it and I see the Queen of Hearts, it's a sit and stand still when you watch the news and have a cup of coffee or read the newspaper, because the King of Diamonds goes right up to the president and then looks at the 6 of Spades and says, who is underneath you, sir, on how they're dealing this out? Because this is odd. So when I look at it and I go, the Jack clubs comes in and goes, no, there's no can do it to it, spelt proper. You have to say, what was going on when Ireland came to visit? So this 10 of hearts means there's something happy in regards to Ireland. There we go. What do we need to know about Ireland and the visit? All right, it was a young like fire starter, and it was like a hostile moment, which always is kind of odd when you're meeting the president when they first come into office. There was no form of like proper communication when this actually came through. When you see this Page of Wands, what do we need to know? It really wasn't anything that like you could sit and celebrate. It was like a quick meeting. There was something of intuitive measure that came in through about Ireland and actual forms of communication. Like I'm seeing multiple papers on the table. When I look at this and I go to the world in reverse, you couldn't end the task. But when I see it, there really was no monetary offerings. There really wasn't anything new. So, in plain sight, that would be happy due to budget. But when I see this, it has a form of weakness. Hi, Jennifer Watson. So I do see like discontent after those meetings, and like first in the beginning of the year, but I see how the wind stopped blowing through and like cutting away at things, which was causing like nasty, too long of pauses of getting answers, even down to daily life. There were a lot of like move-ons, and then there was a lot of turning points to walking aways. And it came in a little too fast with this Knight of Wands. Usually they're a little bit too impulsive. And when I see that it wasn't like skillful when those move-ons happened, but you almost had to sit and like be in a type of lack of a better term, to lock it down, where you sit and you go, no, you had to be adamant down to like amendments. It was odd. When I look at it and I go, this 7 of Swords in reverse means there's no takeaway from anything. People are like at 0 from these huge changes. And when I see this, I go, it's mostly Kansas. 3 of Wands. Picnics, like it was happening at picnics. The worst time at night, like right around 5 to 9 p.m. And then everyone would sleep on it. This is what it's saying. How is that related to Ireland? When they went to come and visit. Let's do the wood runes. All right. So when I look at it and I say it was a lake effect to like snow and flow to actual river runs through it, you have to look at Joaquin and River Phoenix with Chris Farley, like I had said before. It is something like wealthy about what they were experiencing when you look at night, NITE, and then butterflies come through and causing havoc. This is just my experience of being a visiting nurse out in the community, that actually you have like luck at certain times. So when you look at Kansas and you look at Ireland, there's like certain times that things kick up, and there's just all of a sudden certain times that you only do things. Causes a freeze when you actually buck it. So when it comes in, it has like this type of joy. And you can't actually go out and do things, or like go get the mail or go get groceries or anything that you need. But you can get in the car and you can do stuff. It's odd. It really is. When I see this, I look at this and I say railroad crossings when I see this one. Usually it means gift. It's like some sort of gift that comes out that you need it. When I see this, I see bowling balls, like the bowling alley, which is like trolling ulcer, like continuous like hiccup and burping that makes you disrupted. Has to do with like when I see Othala, your daily life. Has to do with daily life. Common ground. When I see this, nasty feet. To the point where you say, what just happened in my life? That is how quick it was like happening about 4 years ago, at least out here. So when I see this, it really has to come down to knocks on the door, to phone calls, to emails. then all of a sudden you have no communication. Like, how come this didn't happen? When I see this one, it's just instinct, and people are just on driving force of instinct on how it's even playing out, because the question on the table was everything was about Epstein, and now the list is not there. And then we're worrying about the IRS. And then it's like, don't worry about Epstein right now. What do you want us to do? So when I see it and I see birth, and we're talking about the like Department of Agriculture, you go, there it is. There it is. You can't even see the gears turn. Like, how is this all connected? This is odd. How is big news to big military affecting even this show? You can't even like bring it out, but it bring out the warrior in you. This is what this word means. Power of the living, like a type of like setting out in citronella, to where you're like, I got mosquitoes and ticks. Normal. I mean, we're outside, but it's strong this year. Yep. They say that every year. There's more ticks. And then when I see this and I go, what is true? It's a little too solid. And then you see defensive to hidden games, racketeering. We already know Sean Combs and all of them. So let's actually look at the Akashic Tarot. Like, it really hurts on, like, we're trying to make sense of how it happened. How did this happen? Excuse my grammar. Here we go. Akashic Tarot. So when you see this and you see the Queen of Keys, it means, what does like grandma, grandpa, auntie, and uncle, and everyone who's older in my family want me to know? When you have that question on the table, it goes, there's something about spring and autumn. And when you actually look at it, it is forceful through the wind down to the leaves. And when you see that there's no diversity, so when I actually look at the leaves and all of a sudden you're like, it's just yellow. It's just like a little bit of yellow and brown and red. There's actually no full foliage. When you sit and you contemplate it, you go, what is actually going on in the environment? And then you have the lookout and you look around to the actual tall ships. Like here in Connecticut, down at the Coast Guard Academy, they have a big sail fest down in New London, and the Clippers come in. And when you see it and you go to the Queen of Roses, it's nothing to be given. Then all of a sudden you realize that when you go to the market, the street vendors, which is the master artisan, there's really nothing new. It's like not digging themselves out of a hole, because it's really no joke. Hydrate flower. Something about when you actually look at the roads, like here, like in New London, where the Coast Guard Academy is, and I'm looking at the cobblestone roads. I'm looking at like a few things. There's something elemental. When you see elemental and the way it, like everyone is walking and it's kicking up dust and stuff like that, there's something like a message. And I do that and I'm like, I just like shoo it away. When I see this and I King of Roses in reverse, and we had the Queen of Roses in reverse, there's no giving or give and take. When I see this and I see the Archangel Raphael, I do see offerings like, hey, you want to try this? And I go, what is this actually like? see at the time, it's like we're going back in time on something there. Where is this leading to about IRS and other things that are in like big news right now? A descent, like a calming down to settling down, a boiling down, setting your course. Yeah, for the fall, I could see that. And then when you see this, like when I see water, there's something about this. I'm not trying to actually be derogatory in the video right now, but when I look at this, I do see the T. And it's not Tesla, I do see a T. It's not Trump either. It does have to do with money. There's something about IRS and then intricacies in the industry. With a knock on our door. Here we go. Let's go to the Black Obsidian runes. What do we need to know? Nadis, which is night, Night, joy. To this, which is like lake. And then when you see this, something like born, following you on X, is that new for you? X is new for me on Twitter. And then like a freeze, like a pause. I'm seeing Great Lakes. I'm seeing the Navy. Why not the coasties? Driving. Yes. Tired of Epstein. Tired of it. Living. What is this all connected? Epstein, the list, IRS. Yep, ticks are bad this year. To the point of like too solid. Here it is. When you look at this and you go, you can't even believe how hard it was to actually get it out, where you can't even see it coming whatsoever. Turn of a flip of a look. When you look at this and you look at wealth, and then you do living, and then you do fate, troll, to gift, to literally like house. That's all you need to know. It's a yes and a no. So when you see this and you go defensive, warrior, and you go power, and then you go collecting, and you go torched, strength, and then you go, is this whole point to the ill of an array? No. Basically, what you need to know, there's something connected, what we found in California. There's something connected to where it has to do with kids, to the IRS, down to the military, and down right to a gas station, to the gas stations, to the libraries. It's too intense to where you can't even put it in the media. Can't even do it. All right. No. That question is no. There we go. What else do we need to know? Quiet place of growth. And then untamed venture. Fate, untamed venture again. I feel like somebody was dabbling in something that they shouldn't have been. When I see this, I see this. When I see this, I actually see like airport towers. and then there's a loss. And when you see this, like it had to like go. There was like something like known. And when you see this, you can't do a handoff. But then when you see this, it's like going for it. When you see this and you go, bravery to the pond, I'm seeing like stagnation to devotion. When you see this subconscious, it really is in the back of the head. Mystery. Wildflowers. Wild, like a wild unknown. I have to say it's like a children's book. When you see this intellect, high on point, bring it right back to current day events. I'm seeing like a toy like this. Endurance, something that you got to pace. Community, to the point where you sit and you go, can't do it. But it's like a bike wheel where you have the cards in the bike wheel. Healing, dark, wings. Something about that. And then you see the body, and you see like toxic masculinity. There's like not a lot of reports in whatsoever. When you do this, I have to say it was not on a point blank. It was a type of rebellion. It was a perspective. It was grotesque humor. At least out here in Connecticut, it was like high grotesque humor on some of the crimes that happened in the last 2 years, to where it actually leads back to historical data. And then when you look at this and you go, when you see the IRS, I have to say some people were just tired of it. When you look at the cauldron and then there's the story, there's something to it. So when I see the white dress, let's actually look at the book. So you got wishes, ambitions, and wandering. That's one of the wings. To like a renewal, awakening, a romance. When you see this, it's appearances, society, and like gender, wisdom, good roots, connection. When you actually look at this to the highest point of like transitions, reality, grief, there's like huge changes in everyone's life over the last like 1 to 9 years, where you actually can't get anything done. They have to do it on their own. So when it leads back to the IRS, there's something changing that has to be done on its own. Because when they look at the bigger like stories like Israel, like Ukraine, like everything else, you've got to take your time with it. So Attorney General Pam Bondi says there's nothing to worry about. What I'm seeing as a psychic, there's a rift in between Dan Bongino and then also Pam Bondi. You just got to leave it alone and let it play out. There we go. Starseed Oracle. What do we need to know? All right. Soul gifts training. It's time to step up. There's something that everyone just kind of like turns like, oh, I'm going to try something new. Survive this, new solutions, beginnings. Yeah, new ideas on the table on how to make things work. Light workers, starseeds, serve the world by being you. Yep. There's something about that. It hasn't gone away, not underway, but away from the underground patriot movement. But it's not time yet. There's too much of a rush. But they are right. A storm is coming. Like when you look at it scientifically, yes, like if something's happening in another part of the world, crosswinds. When it says that, when it says trust the wave you come in, time is not running out, that's all you need to know. When you look at this multifaceted, unique nature, let yourself be seen. That's all that's on the table. It really is. When you look at this and you embrace your awareness, face your true north, just sit and relax. Light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. That's all you need to know. So isolation, physical connection, and community to a degree. I feel like this week, some people just need to slow down and settle down, especially with energies like this and whatever else is happening. And that's just basically it, just short and sweet. So if you have any questions or concerns, leave a like, a comment, and share. It's going to be a short show tonight. An email, a subscribe is great. And we will talk to you next week. And have a good night.